Hey, I'm Dorgan Trostel out at the range today. We got a little bit of winds, but we got some time here to talk about what I feel is an ideal long-range rifle build. We got PRS, NRL, Benchrest, Rimfire, and other tactical outlaw divisions that you can, pretty much the field's wide open on what you can bring to the range to shoot with, what you can bring to the competition to shoot with. And so I think I got a good variety of rifles here, and let's go over each aspect of each rifle and what I feel is an important piece of equipment to have to help you keep at the top of the game and be competitive with everybody out there. So you got the PRS in the NRL world. It's considered the top of the competition. You got fast times, fast movement, small targets, long distances, and other stressors that the match director can put in, or stressors they don't even plan on. Sometimes you shoot in a snowstorm. Sometimes you shoot in perfectly sunny conditions, even though that never seems to happen. So we'll start with just my PRS build. So I got a 6BR. What I went for with this rifle is I've got a small cartridge, so that's going to give me two things. With the technology and bullets, from Burger to any other brand really that has extremely high BCs, you don't need a lot of powder behind the bullet to get hits downrange. So what you want to focus on or look for in a choice of bullet is you want to get the 105 grain bullet going about 2,900 feet per second. So the small 6mm, the medium 6mm. Smaller bullet's going to allow you to stay on target. So when you shoot, the name of the game is seeing where you impact. If it's an impact or if it's a miss. If it's a miss, you got to make the adjustment to get a hit. If you get a hit, if you caught an edge, you need to know the adjustment you got to make to get back to the center of the target in case the wind switches and pushes your bullet over. So I got my 6BR, I got a longer barrel. At the end of it, I got muzzle brakes, suppressors, and nothing. So suppressors are super nice if you shoot with a bunch of people in a line, and your neighbor will really appreciate it. They're not as effective for recoil as a muzzle brake, so a lot of major competitors will do a muzzle brake just because it holds your gun that much more still when you shoot the target, so you can spot your misses or your impacts. Another thing you got to consider when spotting your hits or impacts are the weight of your rifle. This guy, you notice I leaned over to pick it up. That thing weighs about 22 pounds. This guy is missing some weight kits, and it's probably closer to 20. And then this has no weight kits, and it's probably 14 pounds, 14 to 16, but the scope's a lot lighter as well. As we come down the rifle, you'll notice I got some different bipod options. Important thing, especially with field matches, the outlaw matches, NRL, PRS, you never know what the situation is going to be until you get there. So you have to be able to run up to a stage, and you got a big rock, so you just pull that bad boy out, and you're good to go. You can just start shooting. A lot of different options with a lot of good bipod companies out there. So there's people that sell separate leg extensions. Buy what your budget fits and see what you can do, and then keep in consideration what the match is going to be. If you go to a PRS or NRL match, every single stage is so laid out, specifically described, that you sometimes can't use a long bipod or use a bipod at all. You have to have a good sandbag. So you get a good sandbag or any bag. It can be beads. I like sand. It gets a little more solid. It makes your gun track a little smoother. You just throw it up on anything you want, and then you're good to go. That sandbag weighs like 10 pounds. It's a medium bag. They make big ones, small ones. This is a wee bag, medium-sized fortune cookie. This has quickly become my go-to bag on almost everything I do. Very heavy. I also have a lightweight one that's very nice for field matches or where you have to move fast. This bag really slows you down. Another aspect of an ideal long-range rifle will be the trigger. I've got a factory Remington trigger and two Bix and Andy triggers. This one's a two-stage, this is a single stage. I can't really decide which one I like better. I like two stages a lot. It's tough to get a reliable two-stage trigger. Bix and Andy, and there's a new companies coming out with two stages that are really top-notch. Bix and Andy, Huber makes a good two-stage. There's a bunch of good triggers out there. Find one you like, find a trigger pull weight you like. For PRS stages, people are going lighter and lighter on the trigger pull, which one thing you're going to run into when you have a super light trigger pull is accidental discharge. You have an accidental discharge, you're done for the match. You got to keep that in consideration. If it's cold, you're more likely to have an accidental discharge. If there's a lot of movement, you're more likely to have an accidental discharge. So there's obviously the plus sides of a light trigger. Your gun doesn't move when you try to shoot. Downside is you might accidentally bump that bad boy. I like to run my triggers around 1 pound, maybe a little less. I've been doing it a long time. A lot of people like 2 pounds and a lot of people like 6 ounces. I think 6 ounces is dangerous, but I've got some light triggers, and if you train with it, you know, and if you keep your bolt open until you're on target, then you should be good to go. So after PRS, as we're going through the PRS circuit, you got some different options. I've got a 3-18 XTR III on this scope, on this rifle. This is my 223 trainer rifle. I like to get to the range as often as I can and just practice off different positions, and this 3-18 really optimizes field of view. And you don't need that high zoom power when you're shooting targets out to 500 yards, which is what the 223 is wheelhouse. So if you get that ideal field of view and you can get training on a bunch of barricades and move around really fast, I don't think there's a better scope right now available for that. For my PRS, I use a 5-30. Fantastic field of view. I choose the 5-30 because there are a couple situations where you're either got to spot a miss, or there's maybe a paper stage where you got to see where you hit, or if you're just prone, I like to crank the power up to 25 power. Most of the time I still shoot 16 power, and I train at usually 15 to 16 power. I feel that's ideal for field of view, and also being able to spot when you shoot, come off the target. If you're on too high of power, you're going to A, miss your impact, or B, get on the wrong target. For example, I was at Steel Safari last year, or Team Safari, competition dynamics match in New Mexico. And it was a really awkward position, and there was a nice hill here and a cliff here. And so I decided to shoot support side left-handed. So I shoot, impact. And then I worked the bolt, and when I went back on the gun, I was exactly on the target, but it was exactly on the target behind it. And I was like, impact, right? And they're like, wrong target. I'm like, oh. And I looked down, and I was not only at 30 power, but I was shooting left-handed. I'm like, golly, just stupid mistakes you'll make. So I got the 5-30 and the 3-18 for training, 5-30 for competitions with the throw lever. You really, really need a throw lever. You're gonna get carpal tunnel in your wrist if you don't get a throw lever. The major, most important thing for throw lever, especially in awkward positions, if you're bouncing all over the place, you gotta be zoomed down, looking for that target. Ah, there it is. Zoom in, hold your precise wind hold, and squeeze the shot off. Throw lever may be one of my favorite things on this scope. On any scope, you have to have a throw lever. If we go down here to this 5-30, the 5-30 and the Burris, they have their new target knob. As you can tell, there's a pretty large whiteboard on this bad boy. That's fantastic, especially in the PRS and NRL. Every stage, you got your matchbook. It says 3 targets, 400, 500, and 600 yards, or 423, 336, and 536. You can get your wet erase marker, go over here, 2 mils, 500, boop, 1 mil, 300, boop. And maybe there's a target marker by it, like an A or a B or a C, or just a 1, 2, 3. You have to, or even my favorite kind of stage is, people always time out on these. You go 1, 2, 3, 3, 2, 1. So then you just put 1, 2, 3 on the numbers. You go 1, dial straight to 2, 2, dial to 3, 3, go back to 2. You save so much time not looking at an arm board, not trying to memorize your data. It's right there. You got to look up the dial anyways. The only thing that might be quicker is if you hold over, and the holdover is only quicker is if you memorize your data. If you have to look at your data card, you might as well just be dialing your scope. So that's super nice feature that this scope offers. And if we have to get to the #1 feature that this Burris scope offers, especially over the old XTR II, is improved glass quality. Chromatic aberration is almost gone or minimal. You got very good resolution and distortion, especially on the edges, the whole field of view. So when you're looking for targets, I never notice chromatic aberration in a match. The only people I know that notice chromatic aberration are the people on sniper side. Those guys hate chromatic aberration, and they notice it every time. But when you're shooting at a match, you never actually notice chromatic aberration. Luckily for us, the new XTR III has very little of it. The XTR II had a mild amount of it. Still, in match environments, you never notice it. What you do notice in a match is field of view and your reliability when you're dialing. If you have field of view, you're able to find the targets faster. If you can dial, you can hit your targets. Those two things right there is why I'm shooting an XTR III scope. You have to have reliability, and you have to be able to find your targets. So this XTR III is obviously a fantastic scope. If you go to the link in the description, you can see more about it in a different video. What I want to focus on right now is just the ideal long-range precision rifle. So as we go through these scopes or these rifles, different options that are available, I mean, every company out there offers a fantastic product. Some people like stocks. I'm a pretty big stock guy. I've been using the stocks for 10 years. Just fiberglass, just nice fiberglass stocks. They're a little more work. You got to bed them. You got to pay for that. The stock generally is cheaper, but after you bed it and then you get bottom metal, you're usually into them about as a really nice chassis. A couple chassis options that are out there are the JP chassis. JP is known for their AR precision rifles. They make the best out there. It's not even debated. But for bolt gun stuff, they recently came out with the bolt action stock. And so as you can tell, they even come with the America flag. So that's important. This stock is, they tried to keep their AR carbine rifle look, feel going. So they got the tubular forend. This tubular forend can seem annoying because you got to do a little bit taller ring so your scope clears. But when you shoot a lot of barricades or however you hold it, you put your hand on top sometimes, your hand's not on the barrel, or if you're squeezing it, you're not squeezing the barrel. So it's actually pretty nice. This is on my Rimfire. I do a lot of Rimfire training and NRL matches with this, and for a lighter weight, all bones, everything you want, nothing you don't need stock, it is really nice to have. Another feature these offer are folding stocks. So sometimes you're limited in length, it needs to fit in your truck, you got a small bag, maybe you have a suppressor on the end of the barrel. Having a stock that folds, especially one that folds, and the important thing is it locks up tight when it's open, very important. I've got a lot of rounds on this stock and I really like it. Grips, another reason people like these modular aluminum chassis is you can put any grip you want on it. This one happens to have a big old rubber thing, and it makes me more comfortable because I like the big fiberglass grips, and it's rubber. The rubber is really nice. Some people like hard plastic grips. Rubber grips I really like because when you're on a barricade or if you're on a rock or something slippery, you can put the rubber on it and it doesn't smash your finger. It's just really comfortable. Another option, MDTACC chassis. This one's a Stormtrooper white. I was really worried about getting Stormtrooper colors that had decreased the accuracy of my rifle. I lucked out, it didn't happen. This one actually increased the accuracy. So the nice thing about this chassis is it comes with adjustable weights. You can tune the chassis to balance with a big suppressor on the front or whatever on the back by adding and moving weights. Now, another thing that the weights does is makes the rifle heavier so it doesn't recoil as much when you miss. You can see where you missed and make that correction. This chassis allows weights on the inside and on the outside. And similar to the JP, has a full-length archer rail. So if you're shooting on a super narrow barricade, you slide it back. If you're shooting on a normal prone or maybe a really hard to reach rock, you can slide it way forwards. Another aspect I really like about a top level precision rifle, when you shoot it more and more, I'm really bad at this, but pick one piece of equipment and use that. Try not to change it, see what works for you, go to a match, check out different stocks. Some people might like this tube, some people don't like the tube, some people like the open top, some people like real stocks. So the more you do it, when you finally decide on a stock, you'll start customizing it. You'll find out little companies that offer cool nicks and ends and crannies that you can put on your stock. For example, the short action precision 2-round holder, just bloop, put in 2 rounds, and you got spare rounds in case your mag falls out. It's a 12-round stage, you got a 10-round mag. Maybe one of your rounds don't go boom. I've seen that happen. Hidden in there, I got a little Allen wrench in case you need to adjust your scope at the range. Other things I do is I put grip tape on. Grip tapes helps my fingers grip barricades, helps it get traction against barricades so it's not moving around, or a rear bag. I've got grip tape on the grip just so I can, a memory thing so I can be more consistent. I've got it on the bottom and I've got it in the front. I can adjust the stock up and down. There's a dozen different things you can do to make your stock fit you to show your color. I obviously like, my favorite color is red, white, and blue. So there's just tons of options that you can do to get your ideal long-range rifle. But my ideal long-range rifle is not your ideal long-range rifle. You got to see what kind of competition you want to do. You want to see what the environment's going to be. My friend Sky Thomas makes these Skypods out of Montana. Now MDT makes them. So MDT sells and makes the Skypods. As you can see, there's a double pull, there's a triple pull, and now they have the short, there's a short PRS version. This leg right there, that's the same exact width and height as a Atlas bipod. You can keep it narrow for narrow positions. You can keep it splayed out. Some people like Harris, some people like Atlas. I like the Skypod. They do everything I want. They're fast and they look really cool. That's important. So if you want to go out there and be competitive, you have to have equipment that's not going to hold you back. You have to have equipment that's not going to fail. And then most importantly, you have to have equipment that's comfortable to you. You don't want to, when you get in a shooting situation, any kind of shooting situation, your brain is going to shut down and you're just going to react, and hopefully you've trained enough that you have it ingrained in you that your body just does it. My acronym that I always use for safety and to keep me focused and not distracted is DTBS. Dial the scope, dial, find the target, close the bolt, shoot. DTBS. Dial, target, bolt, shoot. So that's just a little acronym I have to be competitive, and it's helped me a lot.